Hi, welcome to another episode of Kahawa Nagowi, where you'll have conversations with your pastor that you cannot have with your pastor. I'm Gowi Makodingo, your host, and today we have an interesting topic again in the series that we're saying when I do becomes I don't. We've been having interesting conversations, and today on the guest seat is Mercy Adu. I got that right, eh?
Yes, you did.
Mercy Adu. And wow. Are you all right? Are you comfortable?
Yes, I'm okay.
Man, it's good to have you here. In fact, you hesitated when I asked you to come on this show. Yeah.
Yes, I did, because it's a tough conversation, one,
Yeah.
and it's also being out there. And my introverted self in this season is coming out. So yeah.
So Mercy, the first time I met you um was not in good circumstances.
Yes.
I had just uh what was this? This probably was like 2, 3 weeks after I started our church.
Yes.
And you
2
said
weeks.
2 weeks actually. And you said,
Yes.
hey, I need to meet you. And we met in a restaurant and you told me your marriage was falling apart.
Yes.
So so we've worked with you ever since. And that was probably 8 years ago.
It's 8 years ago.
Wow.
It is.
So tell me, you had some hesitations to come here, even when you knew that you were going to talk about this. And so why did you say yes? Why did you say yes?
I said yes because probably some of the lessons that I've learned along the way are
Mhm.
things I can pass on
Mhm.
to others, and hopefully, in so doing, they would not have to end up where I ended up.
All right.
Mm.
So today, those of you who have been following these things, and please, oh, by the way, before I forget, you can catch us on different platforms on the podcast audio, but you could also catch us on YouTube again. Follow us on YouTube more so, and on Instagram. Mercy, we're talking about divorce.
Yes, we are.
And so, just to give context, how long have you been divorced?
Wow, good question. Sometimes I forget.
Yes.
Sometimes I forget how long. What I know is offhead is I have been separated
Yes.
for 8 years.
Yeah.
And then in 2019,
Yeah.
I filed for divorce.
Yes.
It came through during COVID,
Yeah.
so 2020.
So about 3, 4 years now.
Yes, about
4
4
years.
years
Yeah.
officially, but separated longer, 8 years.
So let me just go again. Here
Yes.
we're having conversations that you wouldn't have with your pastor. So let's go. um, you're a working lady, working girl,
Yes, I am.
professional,
Yes.
and stuff happens, right? Life happens. So when you got married, did you ever imagine? And did you ever imagine a situation where this marriage could possibly end?
No.
You
Actually,
never thought about that.
no, I never thought about divorce. I remember when I was actually in uni,
Yeah.
about 20 years, and I was, praying for my marriage
Mhm.
and future and all that. One of the things I told God is, God, I will never divorce.
You told God.
Yes, I did. I said I will never divorce.
So explain to me what you mean by you told God.
Like in prayer,
So
I'm
you
like,
prayed.
yes. And I was like, I know this is a path that happens, but for me, I will never divorce.
But you thought about it there. You
Oh
said
yes,
you
I did. I thought about it not happening. Not
so
thought
so
about
so
it
that's my
happening.
question. So
Yes.
what were you thinking about it not happening? If you understand my question.
Uh I didn't think I'd let me say fail at marriage in quotes
Yeah.
and then have to go the divorce, route.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never imagined that would happen to me,
But it happened.
but it did.
So I have this question. Divorce, at least has been my experience, has mainly been told from a woman's perspective. Most of the time, when I consume information or see things about, it's from a woman's perspective.
Yes, that's true.
Why is that?
I think maybe it's because of also the nature of women generally to speak, to share. We talk. One of the things that happened post my separation, even before the divorce, is I discovered writing and I started writing. And I'd try and mask it and seem like it's someone else's story that I'm telling, but I was telling my story. So by nature, because women we communicate a lot more than men. We are more expressive, let me say that. So I think to a great extent, that's the reason why it's when you come across divorce stories, it's from a woman's perspective. But also maybe the shame is I wouldn't be so sure, but maybe the shame is too heavy for men to bear. So they would rather not even, have to
We
say
die with that,
yes,
yes, with
yes,
that information or that
yes,
story.
yes. I think so.
So I'm trying to be able to unpack this. Um, what else do you think? Why is it easier for women to talk about divorce?
Uh People listen to us, and as a woman or like as a human being, you just want a listening ear. So long as someone is listening, you'll you'll tell your story. It's very easy to just tell your story. So because of that, it's okay. Like society has made it normal for a woman to talk about divorce, but not for a man to actually share or say he's going through a divorce. But lately I see that changing.
Okay. So here's my question, and I'll go straight shooting here.
Yes.
Could it be? Could it be that the way society looks at divorce, it is most probably the man who has caused the stress in the marriage that has led to a divorce?
Uh, there's that bit too, but I don't think entirely that's it. But there's a bit that men are looked as the reason for the falling apart of the marriage.
In my experience, and mine has been almost a quarter of a century.
What did the man do?
So the question would be, what did the man do?
Yes,
So,
I
like,
know.
where did you screw up, man? Yes, that's what the
Yes,
thing is.
yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. A lot of times, truthfully,
Yes.
I think if especially if someone was to go through maybe the registrars and just look at the various reasons for divorce, you'll find a lot of times, Papa G, it's really the man is the villain. Like
All right. So we're trying to be able to unpack this, yeah? And so you're saying the man is the villain usually. And here's a question I'm going to ask, yeah? If the man is the villain, I've done my own research. I need to do it a bit more
Mhm.
empirical here. But if you go to the registry of marriages, okay, or
Okay.
the registrar of marriages, or and all that, at the courts, at the
Yes,
family
yes,
court,
yes,
family division court,
yes,
most of the people who file for divorce are women,
yes. That's true.
okay? But the biggest consumers of anything around marriage, maybe wedding dress, flowers, all those things are women. Where's the disconnect? Because
Uh,
women are the ones who are walking out of the marriage or filing for divorce. And I'm asking this in a in a in a very naive way. All right. So work with me here. All right.
okay.
Women are the ones who are biggest consumers about all these marriage industry kind of
Mm,
things. But then they're the ones who are filing for divorce. Where's this disconnect?
okay. So first, the notion, one of the things that I came to learn about the person who files for divorce.
Yeah.
First, let me just share a bit on that.
Please, please, please.
The person who files for divorce is not the person who has walked away from the
Yeah.
divorce. Not necessarily.
Mhm.
Sorry, who has walked away from the marriage.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. The person who's walked away from the marriage is the reason why this marriage is completely you've got to that point where you
It is
have to.
insolvent, right?
Yes, yes. So a lot of times you'll find that the person who actually walked away from the marriage is not the person who will file, or vice versa.
Mm.
Women, yes, are the biggest. We are the ones who file a lot of times. I'll say I think one, it's because men do not want to bear the burden of it being said, I walked away.
You censored something there. I saw it. I said, but let's go on. Let's go on.
Men don't want to bear the burden of it being said they're the ones who walked away from that marriage.
Yeah.
They would rather it's someone else. It's said that it's someone else, even if they're the reason that the marriage has fallen apart. Because
Okay.
there is the marriage falling apart, and then there's someone who's decisive and says, you know what, this is what it is.
Imeisha.
So let's anyway, let me file.
Let me file.
And that is what the women do.
But at
Majority
the same
of the
time,
women.
you are the
Yes,
biggest consumers of this marriage thing.
So when we grow up, at least I grew up, let me speak for myself. I see it change a lot now and seeing how, young girls are growing up and all that. But for me, I grew up looking forward to marriage, looking forward to a wedding.
It's every little girl's dream.
Yes. Those days, I can't say.
All right, let me give you a one. So I have a little girl.
Yes.
Barely 6 years old. So in the neighborhood where we were, there was a bride being picked up.
Mm-hmm.
So you know the way you go and pick up the bride.
Yes.
And I came out because there was singing and all that. And so when the young lady, the bride, was coming, getting into the car, I saw my little girl just watching. I mean, and I noticed there were all other little girls watching. They're not looking at the dancing. I really liked the thing. This was a Luya family, and you know the way it was exciting just seeing that. But you could see that little girl being mesmerized and
excited at the idea of
at this whatever. So is that what was put in your mind?
That is what was put in our mind. I mean, if we go back to even simple things like games, there's a game that we used to play that said things like we'll get married in the kitchen, bathroom, toilet, church. That was a game that was played mainly by girls. So you grow up looking forward to one. Your wedding day, you have it already pictured out. You have an idea of your wedding dress. For some of us, already have your music set and all that. You already kind of you have an idea.
Okay.
So you grow up looking forward to marriage. And so when that age, when you reach that age where you think this is it, you take, you step in and you get married.
Yeah.
And then so they disconnect.
Yeah.
You get married and then
ground different.
Yeah, things fall apart because you realize that this is not what I was sold. This is not my happily ever after.
So we pastors, now our ilk.
Yes, pastors.
What have we sold to you as marriage? What have we sold to you as women, specifically as marriage?
Specifically women.
Yes. What have we sold to you? I want
number
I
one,
to hear it.
the burden that has been the burden, for example, for purity is heavily on the woman.
Unpack this purity thing.
It's heavily on the woman.
So explain the burden of purity. As
the burden of waiting and not. Let me put it this way: the burden of not having sex before marriage is heavily on the woman.
Okay.
And not on the man for some reason. It doesn't make sense to me, but yeah. So the church really pushes that.
Say you pastors. They say pointed at it. Say it.
You Papa G and
you pastors.
You pastors. It's really, there's a lot of pressure on the woman to wait until marriage.
Have you ever wondered why we don't do this for men?
I have, and actually
You have an answer.
No, I don't have an answer, but there's one particular scenario that I need to call out someone on.
Call me out on it on behalf.
I will.
So say it now. So this is Kaunagowi. Say it.
So kids were graduating from ROPS.
Yes. ROPS is the rites of passage experience, right? Yes. So that's when kids are moving from childhood to teenage,
now,
teenagehood, and there's a certain ceremony you guys do, right?
Yes. So the girls were given white kikois.
Yes.
And they were told to make sure it stays white until when they get married.
Yes.
They're told the responsibility for purity is on the girls. And then the boys were told to treat the girls as their sisters.
Yeah.
Yes. And I thought, okay, but why are you not calling? Because sex is something that happens between a man and a woman.
Okay.
So even the boy child needs to be taught to wait. Why is that burden entirely?
You're asking me now.
Yes.
This is my podcast. I'm the one supposed to be asking the questions. So
Okay,
in
so
this
now
place,
that's one of those things that puts
Okay.
pressure. That's one of the
So we're
ways
already
in
putting
which
pressure on
on
that
the
young
girl.
12, 13-year-old girl.
Yes. Because when the Bible talks about sexual purity, it does not say women are the ones supposed to stay pure until they get married.
Okay.
It's both. It's the man and it's the woman.
All right. What else have we taught you, the woman in the church, about marriage?
Maybe not entirely in the church, but even in the spaces where we grew up. One of the things you're told is mwanamke ni kuvumilia.
Shikilia.
You're supposed to just
Suffer
through it, endure.
Mhm.
Man, I think Jesus already suffered for me.
Okay.
Yes, so that's one of the things you're supposed to just endure.
Do you think?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I think that particular statement has sent some women to the grave
Mm.
because because of the shame that is as a result of walking away. They would rather endure and stay there, stay strong, and trust, and pray and fast, all those,
Hopefully that things will change.
hoping that things will change.
They probably do it also for the kids.
Oh yes, there are women who do it for the kids. They say we are staying for the kids, but I personally have a problem with that statement because kids are very intuitive, so they will notice that things are not okay. So while you say you're doing it for the kids, they know that things are not okay. So what exactly are you doing it? What are you doing for the kids? A lot
Stability,
of
probably stability,
financial stability.
or just stability in itself, emotional stability, and all
Would you
that.
have emotional stability in a home where things are not okay between the man and the woman?
You tell me.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's all a facade that someone is trying to wear.
What else have we as a church, the pastors, taught you guys about marriage?
Oh wow, how could I forget this? God hates divorce.
God hates divorce.
Yes, God hates divorce.
But in the Bible, it says God hates divorce.
It does.
Yes.
It does, and it's true. God hates divorce.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, whenever that verse comes up,
Ah.
and for me, it's a trigger.
Okay. I've triggered here.
Whenever that verse comes up,
Yeah.
we don't explain. We don't go further to explain why that verse was there. Like, what was the context? What is it about? What does God hates divorce mean? Because you just say God hates divorce, and some woman, or some man, because it's not just women who are caught up in relationships or marriages that are not doing well.
Yeah.
Also men.
Yeah.
But because that statement is said, someone will just go back and sit and say, because God hates divorce, I'm not going to do this. I personally took a long time. If you notice, I was separated for a whole 4 years before making the decision to actually file.
Yeah, because God hates divorce.
Because God hates divorce. That's one verse that was thrown at me. Then another verse.
Let me point there. So you say God hates divorce.
Yes.
How have you unpacked that now? I'll come
Personally.
to that. Okay. Next, the other side, another verse.
A foolish woman. You know that verse? I forget
Proverbs 14 something.
A wise woman builds her own home. A foolish one breaks it with her own hands.
With her own hands.
Yeah, that was also a verse that someone said to me. Yeah, and so you start thinking, so am I foolish or wise? Will I build this home, or will I be the one who actually make, somehow through my decision the house will fall apart?
Yeah.
So those are some of the statements. But beyond the statements is how the church generally treats divorcees.
Okay.
Not just not just the statements that are said, but the way the church treats divorces.
So here's the thing. I've heard, we've also said, you brought this before we went on camera. There's a difference between a divorced woman
And a Christian divorced
and a
woman.
divorced woman in the church.
Yes.
Those are two different things.
Two very different things.
So share me, let's just unpack the difference.
So a divorced woman is held by the standards of the world. Really?
Okay.
So
For someone
example,
who doesn't understand,
yes.
So you
what does it
Christians, you
mean?
always have this jargon, the world, season, those things. Let's move away from that.
Okay. So for
who's,
example,
yes,
for a Christian woman,
yes,
abstinence is what is expected post divorce. Abstinence
abstinence
from sex.
Okay, so you abstain from
sex, and you're supposed to, stay without having sex.
Yes.
Post
divorce.
Yes.
Separation, divorce. Yes.
Separation, divorce.
Yes.
And well, the people who even throw in the bit about you're not supposed to remarry.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Akina us.
Yeah, Kina you.
Yes.
It's a conversation we have had.
Yes.
Yes. And so the question is, it's such a heavy burden.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Yes.
I personally think it's very easy to not have sex if you've never had sex.
Yes. So if you've not had that
You've not experienced it.
So all you do is it's in your mind.
Yes.
But once you experience it.
But once you've experienced it, it's
Yes.
very difficult.
Yes.
It's very difficult. I mean, it has some of us constantly running, lifting weights, whatever it is, just to try and keep in check.
Yes.
Then the other thing that happens is, so for example, in my case,
Yeah.
The kids are now grown.
Yeah.
The kids are grown. I am not breastfeeding any child.
Yes.
I'm not waking up in the middle of the night. So Papa G, if I really wanted to,
yeah,
in this season, this will be what I'd say my best years sexually.
Yeah.
But well, there's the Holy Spirit that's just like, chick, what are you up to?
So what you're trying to tell me here is the expectation is different for the
it's very different
for the woman, the divorced woman in the church.
In the church, yes.
So the one who is not in the church, none in this will, I mean, filanga free, this is over. You can.
Yes.
Is that all? It's only sex?
There is also what I'd say the kind of friendships that you keep.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can't just have any person, for example, around you or around the kids. So, for example, for me, one of the conscious decisions I had to make is who are those who I will allow into my space. Now, that's a thing with values, and I don't want to say it's entirely.
Is it just for a Christian?
Church?
Is it for just for this is for all?
That cuts across.
For any divorced woman,
yes,
she'd like to protect her children.
You'd like to protect your children.
So you want to have people who are
wholesome,
who share the same values as you. Yes, I'd understand that. Yes. But what is uniquely different about it? Because I sense that there's some hostility from the church to divorced women. Would you agree with me?
Now, that's one thing that I personally haven't experienced, but I've had friends around me or people who I have met as a result of the divorce, because somehow by the divorcees circles in Nairobi, it's pretty small. We kind of know each other.
Yes.
So I've had majority actually say the church for them was a very difficult space to be in because people were hostile to them. Some were asked to step down. The norm is you step down. If for example, if you're serving in church, either you're an usher or you're a worship leader or you're a pastor, whatever it is, you have to step down from that position.
For a divorced woman?
That cuts across, even men.
So when you're divorced, you need to stop serving.
Yes.
So what if you have been divorced for a long time and you've joined the church? The church says you can't serve.
I've not heard of those particular scenarios.
But if you're in ministry or if you're serving the church, part of the community, you have a responsibility. You have to step down.
Yes. A lot of churches, that's the way they go.
Okay.
Personally, that's not my experience. Yes. I have served more.
So why is the divorced woman judged more harshly in church?
I think I'm not so sure, but I think we are looked upon as, there's this stain across across us that
Yeah.
needs to, somehow either we need to be kept away from the others so that we do not spoil the other potatoes. You know, the way if you have
One bad apple.
one, yes, spoils all the rest. So maybe that's why the church is so harsh in a way that they're trying to make sure that the others do not follow your footsteps.
Okay.
But that is not how to deal with
Help
it.
me out here. What have we as the church done wrong or hurt you as a divorced woman? And this, I'm recognizing you can't speak for all,
Yes.
but what have we done that have hurt you as a divorced woman?
Um, as I said, I'll try and say, but now for me, because Papa G, I met you when I was just getting into my separation season. And for me, what the church did is actually the church has loved on me. And in so doing, I did not feel the pain. But for other people, for example, if you're a divorced woman and you need to have your child dedicated to God, there are people I know that the church has said no. So they will actually move to another church so that their child is prayed over.
Let me do this. Mercy, just unleash. Tell me exactly
Mm.
what have we done wrong?
For example, that just not treating the divorced woman as a human being, like ostracizing her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, making her feel like she's less of a human, or because she's divorced. So now her child cannot be dedicated. That's an example. Or those examples of where, for example, you can't join Mother's Union if you're a divorced woman.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean,
But you're a mother.
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's assumed you're less of a mother. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Um,
What else have we done? What else have we done?
I think
that
a
has
lot
hurt
of
you?
programs are geared towards a whole family
Yeah.
in this aspect. So, for example, you'll have a series in church where we're doing family.
A
But
marriage series for family.
yes, no, or just a series. So one Sunday we'll talk about children. Another Sunday we'll talk about the married guys.
Yes.
Another Sunday we'll talk about the singles.
Yeah.
And the singles, normally when you talk about the singles, we talk about the singles who've never been married.
Yes.
Papa G will rarely talk about the singles who've been married before. Who are they? Divorcees, the widows, and all that. Like, it's a very forgotten group.
Forgotten
So,
or neglected?
neglected is the word.
Do you think that
We
is
didn't.
intentional?
I I don't want to say it. I think it is not knowing what to do with these guys. So because maybe someone has not experienced that, a pastor has not experienced that, so they don't really know. Now, for this person, how do I?
You see the way
So
I'm shifting in my seat. I want to be able to unpack this a bit more.
yes,
So we don't know how to deal with it.
yes, to deal with us.
So we don't know what to do with you guys.
Yes.
What is it that we don't know?
Um, one of the things people don't know how to talk to us, or some of the things that they can say. Basically, just being sensitive.
Yeah.
Uh, a lot of times, a lot of times, guys who are going through separation, especially, or already divorced, are asked to pray for restoration, and restoration is for the marriage. Or someone will come and tell you, maybe you should forgive. And forgiveness, a lot of people assume that forgiving means you have to stick in that marriage. So one of the things that the pastors will do, I personally have someone who asked me to forgive and pray for restoration. But you can't, the scenarios where there is no restoration, like the marriage is gone. So that's an
That's
example.
water under the bridge.
Yes.
So you've passed reconciliation.
You pass
attempts.
reconciliation. It's you can be reconciled as just friends,
Yes,
or
but irreparable
co-parents. Yes, the marriage is
irreparable
done.
damage. Yes, the marriage is
done.
done.
So the best thing in that case would be for the pastor to accept that the marriage is done, and just be okay with you being this new divorced person. So that's one of the things.
do you have some questions for us?
For pastors,
Yes.
well, I think my main question would be on remarriage, but that's
No, ask.
why do some pastors?
Yes.
Because it's not
Point
all.
point
In
at,
fact,
yes.
Papa G, why do you say remarriage is not an option for a divorcee?
Okay, it's a good question. I want to unpack it in two ways. One,
Mhm.
when you hear that verse I asked you about earlier, God hates divorce.
Yes.
And how have you unpacked it? I'm not running away from this question. I will answer it.
How have I unpacked it? So
Yes, just briefly.
I'll try to be brief.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to understand what that verse meant and why. One of the things that I did like a cathesis before I made the decision to divorce. I needed to make a decision based not on my emotions, but on facts and information.
Yeah.
So I took my time to study that verse.
Yeah.
When it was written and why. And one
This
of
is
the
the book of Malachi.
Yes.
Yes.
And one of the things that I came across is, so in that particular culture, which I think is the Israel culture, a woman, as a maiden, you're your father's responsibility and you're taken care of by your dad. When you get married, you're taken care of by your husband.
And the husband's family.
Yes, and the husband's family.
Yes.
So your supplies, whatever it is that his need, was provided for by the family. Now, what divorce used to do is you can't go back to your father's home.
Yes.
And you can no longer be this man's wife.
Yeah.
So what that does is you're left as a destitute.
Yes.
So you have no provision. You have no way of taking care of your children.
You are uncovered, so to speak.
You are uncovered.
So to speak.
Yes. God's intention wasn't that, because he's a kind God.
Yes.
His intention is not for this person, this woman, to be left uncovered in this way and suffering.
Yes.
She needs to be provided for.
Yes.
So that's one reason why God hates divorce.
Yeah.
Another reason, which is I think the main one, is it's not his plan for marriage.
Yes.
Marriage, when God planned it, it's for life.
Yes.
So all that pain that comes as a result of the divorce, because I have seen it in my own life, the pain of processing this stage of life and everything, the pain that it inflicts on the children, and then the effects even of the divorce. Because one of the things I have noted, for example, for my kids, is they have grown up very fast.
Yeah.
I personally don't think that will have happened if they were being raised by
a lot of their innocence has been taken,
lost.
right?
Yes, because they have to almost like step up.
Yeah.
Yes. So in my opinion, from my research, that is why God hates divorce.
Do you know what? You've actually unpacked that verse very well. I give you a tick, on that particular
90%?
even more than that. Yeah, even more than that. I would also say one thing is that God is a God of covenants. Okay, and so a broken covenant, God takes personal. I would say in many ways. All right, and this brings me to the reason why I don't believe certainly about remarriage. I actually think a covenant is life. It's life.
It's for life.
It's for life.
Whew.
So if I'm getting into the institution of marriage, the way I understand it, it's a covenant between me and my spouse.
Yes, for life.
For life. And that is sealed. So if things don't work out with my wife and I, that's between my wife and I. But before God, we have made
a
covenant in itself. And so to go and make a covenant, similar covenant of that same with another one, is breaking this covenant in itself. And so I have said, till death do us part. In as much as we do not do that, do not live as married people and all that, my covenant still remains before God. And for me, that is how I look at it.
Okay.
So there are grounds for divorce, and maybe we can do that on another episode on this particular thing. There are grounds for divorce, but remarriage, I don't see it in scripture. I don't see it in the New Testament in itself. And so, yeah, I've heard.
So will you come? Because I intend to get married again.
Good for you.
Will you attend the wedding?
I think I will.
Okay.
I think I will.
Mm.
Um, I will, because you're part of my community.
Okay.
All right.
Mm.
And I think that is something you and God will have to be able to deal for your
Between me and God.
yes.
Yes, agreed.
But I will tell you this, and I've told you this. This is now open. To add. When you have had this conversation with me,
Yes.
you've asked me, "Would you officiate that
Yes,
wedding?"
I have.
And my answer was
No.
yes, because of what I have,
Yes.
what I have be able to do. But I have to respect your decision
Mm.
in that particular way. Now, I'll be honest with you, Mercy. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I don't know how to deal a lot of times with the issues about divorce.
Mm.
It's complicated.
It is.
And the complication for me has been I'm not sure what balance is,
Mm.
because there are times when I've chosen to serve one particular side of the marriage and I'm vilified on this
On the
particular
other
side,
side.
and vice versa.
Yes.
And so I will follow what I sense is best
Mm.
without trying to be able to look for sides. But I'll be honest with you, this is hard and complicated. I understand
Mm.
why God hates divorce,
Yeah.
because it complicates things.
It does.
And I want to say this, yeah, and this is on camera, and this is not for the camera in itself. Mercy, if you ever feel that we have failed you, come and tell us.
Mm.
And especially based on your status as a one who's divorced. Tell me, at least for it. And I'd like to say this is to others who are in those circles, especially in
Yes.
our place.
Mm.
Tell us, because I'd like to be able to see us engage differently.
Mm.
With those few remarks, allow me to end my podcast with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming and talking. The word is elucidating on some of these issues. And I hope you who have been listening would be able to engage with us more. Right there, again, follow us on Kahawa Nagowi on Instagram and also on YouTube. We're continuing with this series. When I do becomes I don't. Continue to check us out. Peace. I'm out.
Thank you.